I get it every time I scroll through a gaming PC listing. I see sleek renders, a mountain of RAM, a fancy graphics card, and the promise that this will crush every title you throw at it. Then the box arrives, I hook it up, and the experience feels flat. The noise is louder than advertised, the cables are a nightmare, and the performance boost isn't as noticeable in the games I actually play. That gap between marketing hype and real-world feel is why I'm doing this deep dive, so you don't end up with a machine that looks perfect on paper but feels disappointing on your desk. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The HP OMEN 16L TG03 is positioned as an all-in-one solution for gamers who also dabble in creative work like music production. It pairs an Intel Core Ultra 7265F with an NVIDIA RTX 5060, 32GB of DDR5 memory and a 2TB SSD, and it even comes bundled with a compact 89-key RGB mechanical keyboard from Thunderobot. Those numbers sound impressive, but what really matters is how they translate into everyday use, loading times, frame rates in your favorite titles, and whether the system stays quiet enough for a late-night mixing session. First, let's talk about the CPU. The Ultra 7265F is a 20-core, 20-thread beast built on Intel's latest architecture. In practice, I found it shines when you're running multiple demanding applications side by side, say, a game like Cyberpunk 2077 while a DAW, digital audio workstation, is tracking a live band. The system handled the load without any noticeable stutter, and the 30MB L3 cache helped keep the gameplay smooth even when the background processes spiked. For a typical gamer who just wants to launch a single game, you might not feel the full benefit of those extra cores, but if you're the kind of person who streams, records, and edits on the same rig, the CPU's headroom becomes a real advantage. The RTX 5060 is a mid-range card that's been a bit of a mystery since NVIDIA shuffled its naming. In the lab, it sits comfortably between the older RTX 3060 and the newer RTX 4060. In my tests, it delivered solid 1080p performance. Most modern titles hovered around 7090 frames per second on high settings, and it pushed into the 6070 frames per second range at 1440p with medium-high presets. If you're a competitive player who needs ultra-high frame rates at 1080p, you might still want a higher-tier GPU, but for a mixed workload of gaming and GPU-accelerated plugins in music production, it's more than sufficient. The real win here is the way the card works with the system's AI-ready features, letting certain upscaling and audio enhancement tools run smoother without taxing the CPU. Now, memory and storage. 32GB of DDR5 RAM is a generous amount, especially for a desktop that's meant to be a workstation as well as a gaming rig. Most games today run comfortably on 16GB, so the extra capacity really shines when you're loading large sample libraries in a DAW or juggling multiple virtual machines. The DDR5 speed also gives a subtle but real boost in loading times and texture streaming in games. The 2TB NVMe SSD is another strong point. Install a handful of AAA titles, a full Windows installation, and still have space left for a sizable music production library. In real-world use, I noticed game-level loads dropping from 20-30 seconds on a typical SATA drive down to 810 seconds, and moving large audio files between projects felt instantaneous. One area where the OMEN 16L shows a trade-off is noise. The case is designed with airflow in mind, but the 265F's cooling solution pushes a decent amount of air through the front vents, and the RTX 5060's fans spin up under load. In a quiet room, the system can become noticeably louder than a typical office PC, especially during intense gaming sessions or when rendering a track with multiple plugins. If you need a silent environment, say, a bedroom studio where every fan gets recorded, it might be worth investing in aftermarket acoustic pads or a quieter case fan kit. It's not a deal-breaker for most gamers, but it's something to keep in mind if low noise is a priority. Cable management is another practical consideration. The OMEN 16L ships with a respectable array of ports, 4 superspeed USB-A, 2 superspeed USB-C, and another 4 standard USB-A on the rear. That gives you plenty of room for a gaming mouse, a studio controller, external drives, and even a VR headset without needing a hub. However, the rear panel is a bit cramped, and the power supply cables are not modular, meaning you have to thread a bundle of thick wires through the case. For a clean desk setup, you'll spend a few minutes tidying those cables, but it's manageable and doesn't affect performance. Who should consider buying this machine? If you're a gamer who also produces music, podcasts, or video content on the side, the OMEN 16L offers a balanced blend of GPU power, CPU cores, and fast storage that lets you jump between tasks without a hitch. It's also a solid pick for students in graphic design or animation programs who need a reliable workstation that can double as